All right, welcome everyone. Welcome back to the Book Graveyard. We have a special guest on today. You've seen him before, you know him, and you love him. Eric from the Paperback Warrior.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks for having me on here. I really appreciate it. It's awesome. It's awesome to be back here.
No problem. We're very glad to have you back.
Nice.
So I have been yakking about Gothic mysteries a lot lately, and Eric asked me if I wanted to co-read and review a book. And we looked for one we both had, and we chose this here of The Shadow Guest. It's by
Nice.
Hillary Waugh. Is that how you say that?
Hillary Waugh.
Hillary Waugh.
Yep. Yeah, that's
So
a nice edition of that book. It's really nice. It's crispy.
yeah, it is crispy. Okay, $3.
Man.
So if you're new here, maybe you saw the thumbnail, maybe you're like, oh wow, there's someone's talking about these gothic romance, gothic mystery, gothic suspense books that my grandma used to read. And you click on this video and you're like, why are these two middle-aged guys sitting here talking about gothics? Who are these guys? So I thought, in case they're new here, we might explain who we are.
Yeah.
And so feel free to let us know who you are and what you're all about there, Eric.
All right. So I run the paperbackwarrior.com blog, and I've got about 1,500 reviews of vintage fiction. We dig into paperbacks, hardcovers, comics, pulp magazines, you name it, we've got it. And we also do a podcast. I think I'm up to episode 122 this week of the podcast. Same thing, we do features and reviews of vintage fiction, trying to track down authors and trying to learn more about their lives, what lives they led. Typically, it always leads to war records, how they served in World War I or World War II, sometimes in Korea, but it seems to always find its way back into military records of some kind. So the podcast digs into their literary work, but also their personal lives as well, which I find fascinating. And then I'm on all the social media channels, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, X, Threads, Pinterest, whatever you're down with. I'm normally there. Whatever your stomping ground is, you'll find me. Typically do maybe one or two podcasts a month, and then the YouTube videos. I'm always throwing shorts up there on YouTube, so you'll find new shorts just about every day, just about a book or a comic book or a magazine, something like that. So that's my spill.
That's good. I would also like to point out to listeners that when Eric says he talks about the authors in the bio, he actually does research. He doesn't just look at Wikipedia and repeat it. He hunts down family members of these authors that have passed and gets to ask direct questions that you will not find anywhere else.
Yeah, I'm trying to find one now that I'm working on. He served in World War II. He earned 2 Purple Hearts, and he ended up being injured so bad in the war that he was confined to a hospital bed for 2 years. And while he was confined to the hospital, he started writing as a form of therapy. He had nowhere to go, no one to see, so he just started writing. And he was inspired by the dime detective novels that people were gifting him or that he found at the hospital. So he just started writing as a form of therapy. But then, from what I can tell, he mysteriously dies in like 1934, and I don't know how he died. So I'm trying to figure it out. So I'm like track down his relatives, his grandkids, just trying to find the story. So that's the kind of stuff that we get into.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's some hard work.
So it's a lot of fun, man. It really is.
No, yeah. I mean, it's like you're an actual investigator.
Yes, that's right. I'm a underpaid investigator, spending a lot of my time that I should be working and making a living doing things like this. So.
But yeah, I mean, isn't that's tit for tat, like the classic private investigator, underpaid? They're having a rough time.
That's right. Yeah, but it's interesting. We're talking about the Gothics. I didn't know anything about Gothics. Like probably like maybe 5-6 years ago, I had no earthly idea what a Gothic was. And I, again, like what you had said earlier, I thought it was just something that my grandmother read or something like that. Typically has a a woman in scantily clad clothes, running from some huge house or whatever. But you've covered on your channel, obviously you do a lot of vintage reviews and stuff like that. You've covered one or two Gothics on there, haven't you?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was. I forget how I found out about them. I think it was on Instagram, and I just saw people. They just keep posting them, and but no one would ever talk about them. And then
Yeah.
I don't remember if I heard you start talking about them first, or if I just started reading one because I was curious.
Yeah.
Because everyone just talks about the cover and how great they look. I should have grabbed some, so that's great.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
over my shoulder, you might be able to see. That's my whole Gothic shelf there. Well, yeah, they all look really identical. They've got the one light on in the house and the woman running from the mansion or the estate.
I mean, they're wonderful. They're dramatic and they're spooky.
Yeah.
And you want to know what is she run? What's she running from? Why is that light on?
Right. Yeah, exactly. And a lot of people aren't really familiar with Gothics. A lot of really famous writers wrote Gothics at the end of their career. You could look like somebody like Gil Brewer, for example, who was kind of struggling at the end of his career, both personally and professionally, and turned to Gothics as a way to earn money. It was a huge marketed paperback industry from like the late '60s. The '70s were the prime time for Gothics, and then even into the '80s. There was some Gothics even in the early '90s. But like Irving Greenfield, for example, Gil Brewer, who we're talking about today, Hillary Waugh, who was a tremendously successful author, but at the tail end of his career, he's got to make money, right? And that was the big market, was doing the Gothics. And most of the authors, they still wanted to save a little face from putting their name out there on them, so they used pseudonyms to write them, typically a woman's name, but they did it and they earned paychecks.
I would assume that because the market was targeted at women, that's probably also why they used female pseudonyms.
Exactly. Yeah,
I
that's
was really
exactly right.
surprised. I was really surprised to find out that how many of the authors were males.
Right.
Like even because you see all the names, you see all the author names, and they're all female. I don't know if I've ever seen one that was like an obviously a male name. There's initials on some of them, so it could be,
Yeah. Yeah, I
but it's
can't.
never like Ted Johnson.
Yeah, off the top of my head, I can't think of any. It's really interesting when you find, and I think you just covered one recently, but like you look at somebody like John Messman, who wrote all these hard-hitting action adventure novels like Jefferson Boone Handyman and The Revenger, and then he also wrote the Trailsman Western series, which he created, where the dominant male hero got laid 3 times in the book, and then you turn around and you're like, wait a minute, this guy wrote Gothics, and he did. He wrote them under the name Charlotte Nicole, I think is what it was.
Yeah,
Yeah, Charlotte Nicole, and he wrote several of them, and they're all pretty good from what I've read. He can really tell a story.
they are, and it's interesting to see him write from being a male to write as the female protagonist, like
Yes.
the inner thoughts of the female.
Right.
It's amusing at some points.
Yeah, I just can't imagine switching gears like that from someone like Sky Fargo, who's just so he's just so dominating, and and then switching over to a vulnerable female who's questioning what's happening in her life. Typically, she's just gotten married, so she's suspecting that her husband is doing something wrong, or someone's going to steal money from her inheritance, or whatever it might be. It's just such
Yeah,
a weird style clash.
it's very different because the Gothic is very psychological,
Yeah.
and it's based on what maybe are more like a feminine fears. So it is
Yeah.
very weird to have like John Messman be like, "Oh, I got this."
Right. Yeah, and it really has fascinated me. And there's so many Gothics. Like if you go down the Gothic rabbit hole, you'll find thousands. It seems like there's thousands of paperbacks, and maybe someone out there in someday will do like a paperbacks from hell type of thing with Gothics and just catalog them all and try to figure out who's who.
I'm surprised that one doesn't exist already. Maybe we should
Yeah,
write it, Eric.
maybe we
we'll be the
should.
ones. We'll get it together. Be on the
Yeah.
lookout for that.
The
Summer
Gothic graveyard.
2026.
I like it. I like it. It's a lot of scanning. A lot of scanning.
It's a lot of scanning. You shouldn't have
Yeah,
sold those books, man.
I know, right? I still got all my Gothics though. I probably have maybe 200, 250 Gothics.
Oh yeah, I love that you. That's the ones you held on to.
Yeah, I can't give up those covers for some reason. I don't know why.
The romantic. It's
Yeah,
romantically beautiful.
yeah, it is. Um, but yeah, but I'm sorry I interrupted you. You were probably going to tell viewers about your channel.
Oh, that was like 20 minutes ago.
Right. Hold up
No,
your
no.
hand.
Yeah. So the book graveyard is just it's mostly a YouTube channel. I had the blog. I don't know if I'm going to keep doing it, but so I just talk about vintage genre fiction. Uh, Try to cover all the genres and subgenres. Usually, the schlockier the better. The more B movie, the better. It's a little less in depth than the Paperback Warrior, and a little looser, a little goofy, and not more entertaining. Yours is very entertaining. I
No,
mean,
no, you're a trip.
yours is
I love watching
educational.
it. Yeah, I try to bring a little bit more of a scholarly approach to some of the stuff, but
Thank
I'm
you.
just, but yeah, your channel's hilarious, especially with the Ebes. I like watching that stuff. It's great.
Yeah, we like to make a fool of ourselves. That's what we do around here.
Yeah, it's great. You guys are doing great work.
Thank you, Eric. All right, man, you ready to dig into this here shadow guest?
Yeah, man. Do you want me to kind of set the table on who Hillary Waugh is?
Yes, yes, please do.
Yeah, so Hillary Waugh, I've been really fascinated with him and it is a male author. Oddly enough, his name's Hillary, which is kind of weird, but I've been really fascinated with him. I did a podcast episode on his life and literary work, episode number 103 back in August 2024. If you can see that, but that's the episode. But up until the Shadow Guest, the only other Wall books that I've read is his police procedural series, which stars it's a Connecticut police chief named Fred Fellows. They're marvelous police procedural books. I really enjoy those a lot, and I reviewed a couple of those on the blog. But the quick backstory on Hillary Waugh was he was born in 1920. He was born in New Haven, Connecticut. He majored in art at Yale, and then he enlisted into the U.S. Navy. During his time in the service, he wrote his first book, which happens a lot of times with some of these authors. They always seem like they are writing while they're in service. So I guess they just find the time to do that. His first book was called Madam Will Not Dine Tonight. It was published in hardcover in 1947, so we're going way, way back. Earlier in his career, he appeared in Argosy magazine, but he broke into the police procedural styled storytelling after reading. He was reading a true crime book by a guy named Charles Boswell, and this was, I believe, in 1949. So he's reading this true crime book, and I think it was about 10 or 12 different murders. And the book just inspired him to write police procedural books about how homicide investigations work, but putting them into a fictional setting. So his first police procedural novel was called Last Seen Wearing, and it just catapulted his career. He started writing standalone novels, and then he developed the Fred Fellows series, which ran 11 books. But Hillary Waugh, he was published in like the Slick magazines, if you know what I'm talking about, like Cosmopolitan, for example, which was the bigger paycheck. That's more
Mhm.
exposure, and you would say a little bit more of a highbrow, readership. He was in the mystery magazines like Alfred Hitchcock and Ellery Queen. Really immensely popular guy, and the prime of his career was the 1950s and 1960s. And just like what we talked about earlier, after having so many successful books and selling in the millions, his career starts to dwindle down, and he's starting to look and say, hey, what am I going to write now? Like, I've already wrote homicide stuff, I've already written action adventure, I've written mysteries. Where do we go from here to earn a buck? And just like who we talked about earlier, Gil Brewer, Messman, Irving Greenfield, it was just a matter of time before Hillary Waugh jumped into the Gothic marketplace. So by the 1970s, he's writing these Gothic romance paperbacks for publishers like Dell, and he used the name and I may be saying this wrong, but it's Elissa, Elissa, Elissa Gradower, Gradower. So if you're looking for Hillary Waugh's Gothics, you're going to find them typically under that name, Elissa Gradower. But some of the, just to kind of give you an idea, some of the Gothics he wrote under that name, uh, he did Summer at Raven's Roost, Seaview Manor, The Secret Room of Moorgate House. You can tell those titles just reek, Gothic romance. But, and I think you'll probably agree, the Shadow Guest, at least in my opinion, it's just a little bit different. It was written under Hillary Waugh's name. There was no pseudonym. When it was first published in hardcover, it was on, I've got it here, it was on, oh gosh, what do they call it? Victor Golanx Publishing. Nick, you've probably seen these before. They're the hideous yellow books with the red font. And a lot of crime fiction authors were published by this. It's a British publisher. Hideous. And all
Yeah.
the covers look like this. And there's hundreds of them. No image, no painting, no photographs, just this. It almost looks like like an ad at Cracker Barrel or something, right?
It does look like an added cracker.
It's so bad.
Like get your Old West picture taken here.
Yes, exactly. But what's interesting about it though is it came out just like this. This was the first publication, and it was British, and it says on the front of it though, it says, following his police investigations, the con game and the young prey, and his action thrillers, Girl on the Run and Run When I Say Go, here is a ghost story by Hillary Waugh. And then below that, it says, or is it? So it's a little different, but it came out in the US with what I consider an equally bad cover, maybe just not as bad, but more of a mystery type of cover. This was a hardcover through Doubleday in 1971.
Mm-hmm.
So a little bit better. And then it came out on Arrow as this with the girl and the candle, which I like fairly well. And then the version that you have, which is the Dell Shadow Guest, which you can see over here. But Dell, from what I can tell, Nick, it looks like he may have just been writing a mystery novel, but when Dell got a hold of it, they're like, okay, wait a minute, we're definitely marketing this as a Gothic, or we're going to slap a woman on the cover and market it that way. And I really do. I like the cover because I love the way that they have the staircase post here, and then they have her coming down the stairs with her hair kind of blowing in the back.
So inside the house, I guess. Yeah, the door's open, so the wind's blowing inside.
Yeah, it's a really cool cover. I like it a lot, but again, I don't know if it really started out as a Gothic. I don't think it was really meant to be that way, but it's like so many other books, it just happened that way. And it happened to a lot of early mystery writers, would write some type of mystery or crime fiction in the 1920s or 30s, and then years later, Dell and other publishers found out about it and said, "Hey, we could definitely take this mystery and make it a Gothic, and we'll slap up Gothic cover on it and get a new life out of it."
Yeah, I thought it kind of had some Gothic tropes in it.
Yeah, it could definitely fall into the Gothic genre. There's a couple things that make it a little bit different, which we'll talk about, and it almost kind of borders on a soft horror novel as well, like something like I don't know, like maybe John Saw would have written in the 90s, minus the huge supernatural effect part of it, but it's pretty soft horror in a way. Or you know what, it could be one of those Lifetime made for TV movies with a little spooky atmosphere that's got Kelly from Saved by the Bell in it, because she's in all of those.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, it's called Suspense. That's what it's called, Suspense. I think it's very classic, like a classic, like the old radio show, Suspense. That kind of what it reminds me of.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, so when you were, because you probably weren't familiar with the other covers, you went into it as this is a full-blown Gothic, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right, cool. Yeah, all right, yeah, yeah, right through the opening of the book, I really liked the opening line of it where it says, and it's all written in first-person perspective, and it's all from this guy named Howard, and he says in the very first line, he says, Though I'm well inland now, when the wind blows stiffly over the moors, and the low dark puffs of cumulus roll across the sky, or when the rain beats its heavy, steady siege and the dampness crawls into my clothes with me, I swear I smell the sea and hear the gulls again. Those are my morbid moments, and I can't get Heather Cottage out of my mind. It's like, it's amazing. Yeah, this
It
is
is. Yeah, and that's, I mean, right there, that's super gothic. That's a super gothic
very.
intro. They always overload the story with that kind of that description of what's the word?
Yeah, it's got a sort of a dark aura about it. It's definitely atmospheric, and
Atmosphere, thank you.
yep, and it's the same thing Lovecraft made a career out of. You know, describing the Black Mountains of, whatever horrible place he's, describing. It's how he made his career, just like that. But Hillary Waugh's writing, that just gives you an example. His writing is like that style. Like in the police procedural novels, when the police officer is coming over to the dead body, he's describing it like that.
Mhm.
He was just a great writer.
Yeah, I thought this was way more literary than most Gothics that I've read.
Yes, yeah. If you get into like W.D. Ross, William Ross, he writes very generic Gothics, and it's the scenes are just this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens.
Mhm.
Where, as we can see from Wall's writing, it's this happens, and then something kind of gets thrown in there. So then this has to happen because of this crazy thing that just happened, and then it kind of spirals down. You can't really predict what's going to happen in the next scene. It doesn't follow a path.
No, yeah, I was. Well, you want to talk about what the basic premise, I guess, here is?
Yeah, so what I liked about the very beginning of the book, also, I just want to mention this is a cool little concept. It goes into the concept of foreshadowing these horrific events that are going to happen to the protagonist in the future. So in this opening page, the main character, he's basically like saying, if someone had just warned me, I would have never moved to that seaside cottage in England. Never would have moved there if I had known. And that's a cool little thing because it's considered I don't know what it's really called, but it's called Had I But Known School of Mystery Writing. And it actually got started in 1908 by a author named Mary Roberts Reinhardt. She created that with her book, The Circular Staircase, where the beginning of the book, the author's like, if I had just known about this, I would have never done this. And then that makes the reader think, oh my God, something horrible is going to happen. Like this character is like just warning us and themselves that if they had only known, then this horrible thing would have never taken place. And it's really, I love that. I love that about the way that this book starts out at. But the premise is this guy named Howard. He's writing it from first person perspective, like I mentioned. He's an architect. The dude is loaded. Like this dude is so wealthy. He falls in love with this actress named Angela in New York City. He takes her out on a date, and they eventually strike up a relationship. And he asks her to marry him using a bracelet, which is really weird. Like you normally give somebody a ring, but he gives her a bracelet, which he calls a slave bracelet.
Yeah, the slave bracelet.
The slave bracelet,
I
which they
thought she
joke.
did. I thought she didn't. She call it the slave
Yeah,
bracelet.
yeah, she did. And she said, "You want to give me a slave bracelet?" And he ends up giving her one.
Yeah.
But so they spent a few pages explaining their relationship and how they met, and then they talk a little bit about Angela's just her family's backstory. Nothing too extravagant at the beginning, but what happens is um, she ends up she ends up getting depressed, I guess is what you would call it. She starts having panic attacks, and Nick, she's a hypochondriac. When you think she's a hypochondriac,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
She constantly thinks that she has cancer, right?
yeah, she thinks that she has cancer. Like if she gets a headache, she thinks that it's a brain tumor. If she bumps into something, she thinks that it's going to create breast cancer. Like it's the crazy stuff. And she just starts getting more depressed and more depressed. And Howard is this booming architect. He's making a ton of money. He's really he's really successful, and his wife is going through this horrible depression. She's starting to withdraw. She doesn't really want to be intimate with him anymore. So he was like throwing up his hands, like, I don't really know what to do. So he ends up taking her to the doctor. They say, hey, she's got this nervous breakdown. She's going to need psychiatric treatment. And then she starts going into going into treatment to try to get better, which she does. But then something horrible happens to Howard, and you want to tell us what happened to Howard?
So yeah, so he has Howard has a heart attack,
Yeah,
but that happens in London though.
yeah. They moved to London because he was going to work on a project there as the architect. Yeah, they're in London. She's starting to get better, but then, like you said, he has his heart attack.
Yeah, so yeah, they're in New York City. Then his job takes him to London, and then she is miserable. She was happy in New York City ish,
Yeah,
and so she really hates London. Her backstory is that she is English.
yeah,
So at the beginning they lay down her her backstory of she was kind of the dad abandoned them. The mom came to the U.S. to live,
right.
and then the mom dies. So she's kind of like an orphan
Yes.
and doesn't know her background.
And it's so funny because in London, he says that he had a chauffeured Rolls Royce for her, so she could just shop all day at her convenience.
Yeah.
Like, like he's got her spoiled so much, and she still isn't happy.
No. In fact, the only thing that makes her happy is when she has something real to do. So
Yeah,
he has the heart attack, and now she gets to take care of him, so she starts feeling better.
yeah, yeah. She
And
starts taking care of him, and I think she decorates the apartment or something when they got married, and like stuff like she can fixate on.
right, she doesn't want to be completely taken care of.
Right.
She's not happy just rolling around in the Rolls Royce buying mink coats.
Right, yeah, it's surprisingly that doesn't make her happy. Yeah. I can only imagine how that conversation would go if I told my wife Sarah, "Hey, I'm gonna have this Rolls Royce for you at your convenience. You can just go uptown, go
Yeah.
shopping all day." Yeah.
Well, we also forgot to point out that he is much older than she is.
Yeah, yeah.
She
She's
yeah
like,
he meets she's like 19 when they get married, and he's 35.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, he's much older than her. But yeah, he has the heart attack. She's got to take care of him. So then she decides that she wants to move them out of London. The doctor tells Howard that he really needs to rest, recuperate, not be working. Like he's going to need months and months of rest. And so she ends up just driving west and finds this little town called oh gosh, is it Windhurst? Yeah, Wildhurst, which is on the English Channel. And Nick, she just she just tells him that she's just driving one day and she just ends up finding this house,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
like
Off very far off the beaten path.
yes,
Like it's not something you would just stumble upon.
right. And I found that to be a little bit odd. Like I was like, I don't get it, but she finds the house, and unlike a normal Gothic novel, this isn't a Victorian mansion. It's not a large estate. It's actually just a normal two-level house, which is what they call a cottage, but it's just a normal two-level house. They make a point Walt makes a point in here to say it's not a mansion. It's just a normal house.
It has a lot of land though.
Yeah, it does have a lot of land, and it's got like it's nestled into trees, but the house is sitting right against the edge of the cliff. Like it's right on the cliff's edge. It's got a beautiful view of the ocean. It's got like some stairs on the side that go down the cliff to the beach, which is where some of the action takes place in the book, is around the stairs that lead down to the beach area. But she ends up talking to a guy named Grubbins, Mr. Grubbins, Ethelbert Grubbins. He's the local realtor, and she asked him, about the house, and it's called Heather Cottage, and that it's I think told here maybe a little bit later that it belonged to the Kremlins. Kremlin, not Russian Kremlin, but like Crimalin, the Kremlins. um, and that the house has been abandoned for a few years. That they left the house. Um, so that's kind of where she gets the idea that, hey, we probably this seems like a good place to live. I want to live here. And then she
Yeah.
goes back. He goes back and tells Howard, and he's not down with it.
No, it's not even for rent. She has to
No.
talk the guy into it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just sitting there. It's just abandoned house, but there's no rental sign or anything about it. I mean, it's just sitting there. Yeah.
So it was specifically chosen.
Yes. Yes. Specifically chosen.
Seems odd. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And we kind of find out later at the end of the book, some of the stuff is we kind of piece it all together.
Yeah, I would like to point out that none of this is pointless. Like
Right.
all of it, all every single bit of little backstory, all of it
Yes.
is on point and matters. It was great.
Yeah, almost every detail in the book actually matters. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. It's one of those books where you kind of have to pay attention. You can't just breeze through it. You gotta remember certain things.
Yeah,
Um,
it'll M Night Shyamalan you. You'll be looking back like, oh, look at that. There was the.
yes.
If I would just had noticed that, I would have figured it out.
Yeah. Yeah. But Angela's doctor is named Armstrong, and he practices out of London. So he's her psychiatrist. He's practicing out of London, but he informs Angela that he has a flat that he lives in that's about an hour's drive from this little town of Wildhurst, which is convenient for her because she can still go see him by train because he's only an hour away. She doesn't have to go all the way back to London to see him. And Howard gets a doctor, a cardiologist, I guess, in the nearby area named Dr. Prentice. So they both have access to their doctors, even in this secluded, wild, out of the way place, which is again, there's a point to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And there, right there is the Gothic trope. When you take the person from one area and you drop them into this new location that's isolated,
yeah,
that's very Gothic right there.
yeah. It is, and it typically always is a situation where it's a female that learns of an inheritance that she didn't even know about. Someone has died in her
Yes.
family, and someone knocks on her door and says, "Hey, your great uncle has died, and you're the only person that we could possibly leave these millions of dollars to. And so I want you to stop teaching school at this little tiny place in the middle of
Right.
nowhere, and you're going to go to live in this gigantic mansion." And that's how it normally happens. And it's typically it's a teacher, or it could be a maid, or someone like tutoring a child or something like that.
A nurse.
Nurse, yeah, that's the other one.
Yeah, that's one thing that I really liked about this was it wasn't just the single person going out there and being like, what is all this craziness going on? Like, is this real? I like that there was the two of them, and they're both experiencing these spooky things that are happening. They're both seeing the spooky things together.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They both see it, and that makes it a little, in my opinion, it makes it a little bit different than the Gothic, because most of the time with the Gothics, it's the girl that is seeing and hearing things, but no one else does.
Right.
They're like, you're just crazy.
Yeah, so when you're reading this, you know that this is really happening. Like when you
Yeah,
see someone standing on the lawn, someone's for real standing on the lawn. They both see the guy, you know.
yeah, exactly. But so the two decide to move into the house, and they get all their stuff. They bring it over with their helpers, and then the helpers return back to London. But they end up picking up this girl to help them as sort of the caretaker of the house, housekeeper. Her name is Beverly, and she explains to both of them that at the bottom of the cliff, like this is a really winding road that goes up to the top of the cliff where their house is. But in the turn, it's like a really wicked turn. Years ago, a 19-year-old woman named Nancy Kremlin had died there in a car wreck with a soldier that was driving the car, and he was assumed dead. His body was never found. For her, the only thing that was found was just teeth. That's how they could match up the records that it was her. The car burned to a crisp at the bottom of the cliff, and that Heather Cottage was owned by Nancy's parents. She was an only child, and then that's why after the death of Nancy, they moved away and just left the house abandoned. But something weird happens when Beverly steps into Heather Cottage for the first time. Do you remember that?
Yes, yeah. She
Yeah.
has a psychic feeling. She gets a chill and she gets spooked. So she runs back out of the house real fast.
Yeah, and I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And yeah, she runs out crying, and then Howard asks her, what's going on? And she says that she felt as if an evil man was walking on her grave. And
Yeah.
she says that was a cold and evil feeling. And then after a few minutes, she goes back in the house. Like, it's no big deal.
Yes, she don't care.
She just goes back in. It's like, not a big deal. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going back in if I feel like that. It's crazy.
Yeah, that
So,
part was weird. And before we go on, there might be spoilers, and there'll definitely be spoilers towards the end.
yeah,
So if you you want to read this, beware. But I thought that she was kind of like a red herring.
very much so. Yeah, very much so. I was very suspicious of her. I didn't know what was going on with her. And there's throughout the book, there's multiple people saying that she has psychic abilities. Like, she can sense when a death is going to occur.
Right. Yeah, that she prophesies the crash on the mountainside.
Yeah.
And someone
So
didn't someone get hit by a car or something? Some child.
it was some mother pushing their stroller with a kid across the street, and they get plowed by a car.
Yeah.
Apparently, she knew about it like ahead of time. I
Yeah.
suppose. Yeah. Yeah,
You
they said that she was like 2 weeks ago. She was standing in that sharp curve and said that a horrible death was going to happen, and it did.
right.
So, go figure.
When you mentioned that the original girl that went off the cliff, when you're like, oh, they just identified her with her teeth, they keep repeating this gruesome detail that it's like part of her jaw and the teeth. All that's left of this woman is part
Yeah,
of her jaw. So you like visualize this disgusting,
yeah,
gory, gruesome jaw with like 3 teeth.
right. And going back to Wall's writing, in the Fred Fellows series, he will describe the most grisly details of a body. I think there's one book they end up finding the torso of a body inside of a furnace at a house. It's an abandoned house, and they're trying to, like, they don't have a face or teeth, and they don't have any arms or feet,
Yeah.
and they're like, yeah, as he's describing this in gross detail, and like, how do you identify a torso? Like, there's nothing to identify here. And then it's like, this is crazy how he writes that stuff.
Yeah, it's funny. It made it feel like it was more real by how gross it was. Like the
Yeah,
medical examiner is explaining it to us all of a sudden.
yes, yeah. And one of the things about Hillary Waugh was he would ride with homicide detectives to try to
Mm.
learn more about the insides of the industry. So he was kind of had like an insider view of it. He was always doing that.
Oh,
So
that's interesting.
yeah, uh, but it's this house is almost kind of like abandoned on top of the hill, because in terms of neighbors, there's really only two. I think there's this guy named Arthur who lives in a house up the road. Howard and Angela, uh, they eventually meet Arthur, but he's kind of a wacky guy. He writes children's books. His mother's dead, and he lives with his he doesn't live with her, but he has a housekeeper named Mrs. Drummond that comes over and takes care of him. But he's a really quirky guy. He writes these children's novels. He talks about his dead mom all the time. So he's one of their neighbors. The other neighbor is this artist that's kind of reclusive, that doesn't really talk to anybody. But those are the only real neighbors that they have. And a few days after they move in, this is kind of like this was a key scene to the book, is when a few days after they move in, Angela introduces Howard to this old woman on a bicycle. And Angela explains to Howard that this old woman had directed her to the real estate agent Grubbins the first day that she had visited Wildhurst, and to inquire about Heather Cottage. And the old woman says to Howard that she lives in the house up the road, and she informs Howard that Heather Cottage is haunted by a ghost. And she says that's why the Kremlins actually abandoned the house. And she also says that Nancy's death in that wreck was due to the ghost and that it wasn't an accident. And she says there's going to be more murders. And she describes the ghost as an angry man. And I was thinking, this is bizarre. Like, what a bizarre conversation to have.
All I
Like,
could picture was I know you're gonna bust my balls on this, but Scooby Doo.
yes,
Just
yeah,
the because she's got the wispy white hair, and I just
yeah,
imagined her in like some gray baggy ripped up coat.
yeah.
She's like got one tooth, and she's like, "Be careful, it's haunted."
Don't go in that mine.
Yeah, you kids, be careful.
That's exactly what it really came across as. Like this old lady, and she's smoking a cigarette, and the way she talks is just like she's just loosey goosey. Um, but it's that scene is important later down the road, which we'll talk about. But so your thoughts on them moving in? They have basically two neighbors. They say the house is haunted. I was thinking, okay, there's no help anywhere. Their doctors are a few miles away. Like bad stuff is going to happen. Obviously, Beverly just ran away from something cold and evil. So I was thinking, this was going to be a bad thing. What do you think?
Oh yeah, I thought that it was going to be a real ghost story. I thought that this is it. It's happening. Like because in the Gothics they always lead you to it
Yeah,
and
yeah,
sort of steer you away. And I was like, oh, I think it's going to happen this time. I was all
right.
in. That was what was
Yeah,
happening.
I was too. So um, Howard. So Howard and Angela are outside having breakfast one morning, and Arthur comes up and he introduces himself, and they tell him that they already met his housekeeper, Mrs. Drummond. They saw her on the bike or whatever, and she's an old lady, and they just kind of describe her. And I don't know if they said bicycle, but they said that they had already met her. And so Arthur's like, okay, cool, you met Mrs. Drummond or whatever. And um, he confirms that her name's Mrs. Drummond. He tells them he writes children's stories, and he talks about his dead mother. And he's kind of like a pesky neighbor at this point because he just keeps coming over. And at one point, he gets drunk and ends up falling asleep on their couch. He eats all their food, and he's not an interesting neighbor at all. It's like somebody you don't really want to have come over, but he just keeps showing up. But so and that kind of stuff is kind of leading up to the first night of the craziness. Did you want to go into what happens the first night, or do you want me to go into that?
Well, let's see. So the first night they're laying in bed, and he's still awake. And they sleep in different beds. They got the two different beds.
Yes.
Kind of important. I don't know.
Very, very Brady Bunch.
So he hears this laughing coming from downstairs.
Yeah.
So he hears this spooky. It's more Scooby Doo. That's all of this is very very Scooby. So there's creepy laughing in the house, and it gets louder and louder, and he eventually goes down to investigate, and the laughing stops. So it's not around when he's around.
Yeah. And it's always downstairs.
Yeah. I'm trying to does he see the person outside the first time?
No, he just hears the laughter,
Okay.
and they describe it as kind of like it's like a sadistic laughter, kind of like
Yeah.
it's like an evil chuckle
Yeah.
kind of thing. And but when he goes down there, there's nobody. Like you're just like, okay, wait a minute, this thing is like an apparition or something because there's nothing there. Oh,
Yeah. So he goes. That's right. So he goes back upstairs, and his wife is awake, and she's like, "Did you hear that?"
yeah,
He's like, oh, "Yeah, I just went downstairs to check it out. There was somebody laughing." And at first, this guy is a very rational person. All of these ghost stories, he's just like, "No, oh, psychic girl, I don't think so." Like,
right.
there's no ghosts. There's no, I don't even think did he even believe in psychology when she was first having the breakdown.
Right.
Like he's a very staunch, serious man,
Yeah,
practical.
yeah, for the
So
first, I guess maybe the first third of the book, he's fairly unconvinced on any of this stuff.
right, so he hears this and he's like, what does he say? Like it's the wind or the pipes
Yeah.
or something like that.
Hmm. Yeah, he
Evil
blames it on the
laughter.
house. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all part of the house.
Or it's yeah, or maybe it's coming from outside. He said maybe it's a noise from outside that sounds like laughter when it gets to the house.
Yeah, exactly. The second night, the same thing happened. He goes down there. There's no one there, but if you recall, when he's down there looking around, Angela is screaming upstairs. So he runs upstairs to find out what's going on with her. She's screaming. The window's open and there's rain pouring in. And this is kind of what you were talking about earlier. When the lightning flash occurs, that's when Howard
Mm.
sees a shadowy figure standing on the lawn. And he only sees it for a split second. He's like, wait a minute, was that a man? Or maybe it was just my imagination. Is there really somebody standing on the lawn? And it kind of leaves the reader thinking, well, maybe there really is a guy. I don't know.
Yeah, that's when I was like, oh, this is getting good. This is gonna be there either really is a ghost or it's it's somebody that's there and it's messing with them, some real
Yeah.
adversary, some real person.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking that it was like a stalker situation, and that's what we were going to get out of it.
But I mean, the ghost could have went outside. The ghost could have been the one standing in the field.
Yeah, you never know. You never know how ghosts react.
He disappears in the lightning, and
Yeah,
I don't remember if it's mentioned the first time, but he is wearing a the uniform, the military uniform.
yeah. He's got what looks like an army coat on, and later on in the book, he's described as being kind of covered in blood and dirt.
Mhm.
Pretty descriptive. But it's really, up to this point, it's kind of frightening stuff. I mean, they've got all the doors locked. They don't know how anybody would be getting in and laughing downstairs. And this idea of this strange man on their lawn, because you got to remember they're up on the top of a cliff, and they really don't have many neighbors, so it's kind of a weird thing. Um, but Howard, he talks to Beverly the next night. He asks if Heather Cottage is haunted. And she says, no, it's definitely not. Um, but she also says that she doesn't remember the first time that she came into the house with Howard and Angela. She doesn't recall the time that she ran out crying, saying that there was an evil guy walking on her grave. She doesn't recall that. So Howard's talking to her and like saying, hey, how could you not remember this? Like, do you remember
Yeah,
running out of the house just a few days ago when we first got here? And she goes, oh, yeah, I do remember that now. She said, I had a feeling. She said it was like feeling the wind coming out of a mausoleum. That's how she described her
yeah,
feeling. I was like, oh, that's an interesting description. That's pretty cool. But Beverly's like, hey, she's not convinced that it's haunted. So I'm like, okay, well, wait a minute. This goes back to the stalker thing then. She's probably psychic and she doesn't see anything or feel anything. So it's got to be stalker situation. That's what I was thinking.
yeah. What's weird is he's kind of like this is dangerous, and
Yeah.
she's just like no, no, no. I love it here. Let's.
Yeah.
It's no big deal. We'll just stay.
Yeah.
When she's the one at the window seeing the guy screaming,
Yeah.
and they talk to some more of the neighbors, more of the people in town, and some people are like, you just hear more and more ghost stories.
Hmm.
The local doctor tells him the local doctor's way into the ghost stories.
Yes. Yeah. Right. Yeah, and yeah, depending on who they talk to, they always go back to Beverly and how she senses ghosts and death ahead of time, and that the house is haunted. But he starts to question. At this point, he's kind of like on a balance beam. Like he's like, well, part of me says no, none of this is possible, but then the other half starts to say, well, maybe this isn't just my imagination. But I also find it interesting when he's talking to these people. Keep in mind they're British. They always kind of like they're condescending. They say, "Well, we never thought Americans were buying into that ghost stuff."
Yeah,
Like it's a knock on America.
right. Or is it a knock on the British?
I don't know. I'm not really sure, but he says something like, "Well, you British always have all these ghost stories about every castle and every manor and all this
Yeah.
stuff. There's ghosts everywhere in England." Like, well, you Americans don't believe in that stuff.
What are you worried
He's
about?
like, yeah, well, I don't, but I'm just asking, just to be asking. And he asked everybody about the ghost. Like, he literally is going around asking everybody about ghosts.
He goes back to the banker who hates him.
The
And he
banker
asks
hate
the banker, and the banker's just like, "What? No, I don't. Get out of my office."
right?
Asking about ghost nonsense.
And he goes and well, the next night, Angela wakes up, and this is the army code part where she wakes up. She tells Howard that she had a bad dream. She says that she may have been awake though, and she can't remember if she's sleepwalking or if she had a dream. But he finds her, and she went to the window. She tells him that she saw a man standing there in an army coat, but she couldn't see his face. But she said she could feel his eyes on her, and she says that the eyes suggested that she should come outside. And so that's I know that Angela had heard the laughter before, but this is the first time that Angela has saw the man, I think.
Hmm.
And now Howard's like, okay, wait a minute. Now you're seeing the man. You're hearing the laughter, and you're seeing the man too. Like that's two of us. So I think it's reality had set in at this point.
Yeah, and right, and like you said, he still is. He goes back and forth. He's like, "Is this?" He starts to believe that it's ghosts, and then he's like, "No, this is ridiculous. This is
Yeah.
somebody really messing with us." And because also when they talk to the locals, they're like, "Oh, it's probably because you're an American.
Right.
Someone's messing with you because you're from the
Yeah.
states."
You're a Yank.
Yeah.
You're a Yank. So they're messing with you. But the next night is really when things kind of get crazy because the next night Howard wakes up hearing what he describes as a power saw ripping through wood,
Yeah.
but more annoying than that. And then Angela hears the sounds too, and together the two of them hear what I assume is just the sounds of what it would have been if when Nancy and her soldier boyfriend crashed in the turn. So they hear the car slam into the guardrail, they hear the squeal of brakes, they hear the crash and the explosion, and then they're freaking out. They're looking at each other like, "Oh my God, somebody just died on the road up here." So they run outside, get in their car, drive down the road. Nothing. Like there's no accident. There's no brake marks on the road. Nothing has happened. And then when they get back to the house, they discover the light is on in the attic,
Hmm.
and that part right there, I was like, "Oh man, that is so twisted." Like that would be the worst thing. Come home
Yeah.
and because the attic is so far out of the way, no, you don't go to your attic like a couple times a year, and to know that somebody was up there with a light on, and of course he goes up there and he doesn't find anything. There's nobody there, and there's no accident, and there's nobody in the attic.
No, there's all the dust is still there. Like he can't figure out. There's not even any footprints to get to the
Right?
light.
Yeah, nothing.
And
Yeah,
they say they're like, when they see it, they go, "Oh, maybe the whoever dropped the chauffeur when they brought their bags in. Maybe they
yeah,
turned it on and we just didn't notice for 4 days or whatever."
right. And this part right here, when that attic light came on, Nick, did you ever see Paranormal Activity, the first one?
No.
So in Paranormal Activity, the whole movie is shot like a found film footage kind of thing, found footage, whatever I'm trying to say. But it's kind of shot like that, but it's all from the couple's bedroom, and you can
Hmm.
see the doorway and you can see the hallway. But every night, the couple wakes up and they can hear things banging around downstairs in their little townhouse. So down the stairs, you can hear things banging around, and they'll go down and investigate, and there's nothing there. And it happens the next night and the next night, and then his wife keeps getting up out of bed and she just kind of walks around like she's sleepwalking. But what
Hmm.
was interesting about it is in that movie, that when they're asleep and everything's dark, you can look down the hallway and a light comes on, like in their attic, which kind of reminded me of this when I was reading this book. I was like, that's very similar to Paranormal Activity. I was like, maybe that whoever made Paranormal Activity read this book. Like it's it's almost like shot for shot. But yeah, that creeped me out. It's just the idea that that attic light was on. Like that did it for
it,
me.
yeah, it's creepy for sure. And you're right. Why is the light coming on in the attic scarier than the spooky laughter downstairs?
Yeah, I don't know. It just does something. It's like, when I was a kid, we had an attic. It had one of those pull down ropes, and you pull the stairs down, and you just you never went up there. Like, it was just kind of forbidden as a kid. You don't climb the stairs to go up there, and as a kid, you're like, there's scary stuff up there.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
Yeah, in our house, we had three unfinished rooms up there, and we had we bought like an abandoned house. Like, there were literally bats in the house. I can remember my dad shooting bats inside the house with a 22 rifle. Like, it was crazy. Like, my dad is shooting things in our living room with a gun. So it was nuts. But so that whole top of our house was completely trashed. It was just abandoned. Water came in. Like, it was just insane. But he just never went up there. But to see a light on up there would have been freaky to me. Like, that would that would have set me off.
So this is probably some repressed memory of yours. Some,
Maybe so. Yeah, maybe
that's why it
so.
got to you.
Could be. But it gets to Howard so bad that he marches his way up to the other neighbor, which we haven't met yet, named oh gosh, what's the guy's name? I don't even know if I
I
wrote
just
it down.
I just have him as painter.
Yeah, the artist guy. And he goes over and talks to him, and this guy's like complete dick. Like, he's a
Yeah.
complete dick. Like, he comes to the door like, "What do you want?" And Howard is like, "I want to know about this house. I want to know if there's a ghost there. Like, what's haunting me and my wife." And the author, this artist, is, "Go away. Like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I know nothing about
Yeah.
the house. I've never stepped foot in the house. Why are you asking me? I don't know. Go
Yeah.
back there." Like,
He's one of the non-ghost people. He's like, what?
yeah,
Like,
he
no,
was.
I didn't hear any crash last night. No,
Yeah,
like nothing has happened. Yeah, I was here when they initially went off,
yeah.
but there's no ghost. He's like, I've seen your light come on in the middle of the night, so I just figured you were up late at night.
Yeah. Yeah, this guy was like, he basically just shut him down. Just go
Yeah,
away. And we never
right.
see the artist again. Like, he's out of the book.
And yeah, he was my favorite character. What are you doing on my lawn? What do you want?
Are you
Yeah, and here
boys
we have
breaking
the
off in my wood shed, tool shed? But yeah, it was crazy. Oh,
so we
man.
have the this is how it goes throughout the stories. It goes back and forth where someone talks them into it being not real. It's not ghosts. And then
Yeah.
someone comes back and is like, here's this crazy ghost story. And he relates it to what's going on. And he's like,
Yeah,
oh,
right.
maybe it's real. And then he
Yeah.
meets somebody else. He meets the cop or whatever. And the cop's like, this is ridiculous. Someone real is
Yeah.
messing with you.
Yeah. He ends up contacting the constable, and the constable comes in and, yeah, and just says everything's got a logical explanation. I don't know why you're thinking that this is some ghostly thing. There's a logical explanation to all of this. And then he just says there's probably somebody playing pranks on you, and I'll just put out a patrol and just see what's going on. But
He even debunks the psychic girl.
he does.
He's like,
Yeah.
she's not psychic.
No, yeah, he says that, and then the doctor later on the book says kind of the same thing, because he says that he did a bunch of tests on her, and she was just normal. So he doesn't know what her actual psychic strength is.
Mhm.
He's like, I don't know. But the night after Howard talks to the artist, he starts to leave lights on downstairs so he can try to see what's going on down there. So he leaves all the lights on, and then he wakes up more laughing. He finds Angela at the window. She's staring outside. She asks Howard if the man's out there, and Howard asks Angela what woke her up. What did she see? What does she think she saw outside? And then they end up going back to bed. And then the next 4 nights, everything's good. Like, there's no problems. There's no issues. It looks like they're getting back to like a normal routine. And then the laughter starts up again one night. And then he runs downstairs. There's nobody there. And, then you're like, okay, something's not right.
Well, she goes outside in the middle of the night. She starts sleepwalking.
Yeah. Yeah. She's sleepwalking and going over to the window, back to the bed. But then she's going outside more and more, which kind of like goes back to what she was saying. The man with his eyes is encouraging her to go outside.
Hmm.
So
And she's not scared of him.
No.
She thinks that he's something that's good or something like that.
Yeah. She later says that yeah, he seems good now. There's nothing wrong with this. Even though he's covered in blood and dirt, he's perfectly good. Like he's a good guy. he's he's a good guy. Um yeah, so but
There's,
Doctor, yeah, go ahead.
I would say there's one important aspect that we are kind of not talking about, and it's how much he loves his wife.
Very much so.
He is like understanding about all of her issues. He tries to like help, and she doesn't want to leave, and he's like, it's, you know, we really need to get out of here. But to make her happy, he's like, okay, well, we'll stay a little bit longer. I mean, he's like hopelessly devoted to this woman.
He is, and yeah, like you said, he wants to go back to London at least, or back to New York, and she just wants to stay there. And if it were me and all this stuff was happening, and she had just gotten through all this depression and panic attack stuff, I'm like, hey, we don't have a choice. We're we're going.
Knock her
But
over the head, Eric. What are you gonna
yeah,
do?
but he's like, yeah, he's so patient with her, and again, it might go back to what you were saying. He's older than she is, and she's young and youthful and all that stuff, and he's just in love, and I don't know, she's irritating. Like she's so irritating. But
Yeah, I just want everyone to know that while Eric was reading this, he texted me and he's like, why is he even with her?
yeah,
like we were watching a soap opera together or something.
like, why is he with her? Like, I don't understand. Why does he just drop this fool? Like, he is like head over heels for her, and he'll do like you said, he'll do anything for her. Like, anything. It doesn't matter. And
Yeah.
and keep in mind, this whole time they're not intimate. This whole time.
Yeah, he's dying for it. He's like,
Yeah.
he's understanding. He's the most understanding guy ever.
Yeah, she keeps putting him off. Like, maybe one day, maybe one day you could touch me and get in my bed, but not right now. That's tough.
Yeah. So this guy's frustrated. He's sexually frustrated. He doesn't know what's going on. His
Yeah.
wife is losing her mind. He's stuck out in the middle of nowhere. He just had a heart attack.
Yeah. Well, then Dr. Prentice comes to the house to evaluate Howard because that's his cardiologist, and he relays the story again about what happened with Nancy, and that the soldier, he provides a name this time. He says that the guy's name was Theron, and that Theron was driving. He didn't know the road well enough. He crashed and killed them both. But he says that a couple weeks before the crash, Beverly was standing in that spot and had a frightened episode where she predicted the crash was going to happen. But he says that he's done various tests on Beverly to see if she's psychic. She passed all the tests just fine. She's normal. He doesn't know what her psychic abilities really are. And then Howard, he's explaining to the doctor about all this crazy shit that's happening at Heather Cottage. And the doctor's like, it's all got logical explanations. Like, I'm sure you probably just left the attic light on by mistake. Like, come on. And then Howard is frustrated, I think, by the doctor's response. So Howard's like, we're out of here. Like, this is it. Like, this was it. Like, we're leaving. And he tells Angela, we're out of here. We're going to leave tonight. We're just going to leave. And Angela begs him for them to stay. She even says to him, I will totally let you make love to me right now.
Yeah.
If we can just stay.
Right.
And I don't know what he did with that, but he just goes, sure, okay, we'll just stay.
Yeah, whatever, as you wish.
Yeah, I mean, we could get killed in our sleep, but that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, right. There's someone standing out in the yard. Right. Someone has the access to the house.
But I think the creepiest part for me was that night. Of course, the laughter continues again, but that night, Howard gets up because of the laughter, and he sees that the attic light is turned back on again, which, okay, so that's creepy enough, but he sees that the door to the attic is partially open, but he goes over and checks it out, and there's nobody there, and that part was creepy to me. But then he says that he finds Angela out on the lawn. She tells Howard that she really likes it out here, that the man on the lawn is that he's a good person. He doesn't wish them any harm, and that he was maybe in the attic and maybe he left the door open and left the light on. But
Yeah.
and Howard is, I think at this point Howard's probably on the verge of a nervous breakdown. I think he's
Yeah.
probably on the
Yeah.
cusp of it.
Yeah.
Uh, but that the attic door and the light being on was really kind of eerie to me.
Yeah, I'm telling you, you got some repressed attic stuff going on
Some
there.
attic stuff.
You're gonna get hypnotized.
I'm an attic addict, I guess.
Before we go any further, how funny is it that the doctor does tests for her to see if she's psychic? Like that's a real thing. Like, why didn't anyone in the history of ever do that before? And then we would know if being psychic was real.
And the thing is, he's a cardiologist. What would he know about it?
He did the test. I tested her. She's not psychic.
Yeah, I can see him like his test would be: I've got this spoon, make it bend.
Yeah. No.
Oh, okay, you're not psychic. Moving on. But it reminded me of it was one of the Friday the 13th. I think it was 7, Friday the 13th 7, where the psychic girl is at Camp Crystal Lake, and she's brought along the doctor, and the doctor's like doing all these tests with her with the spoon and cards, and he's like, I think you're psychic, but you really got to be careful. like, be careful with what? Your psychic ability. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, that was a jump the shark moment of Friday the 13th. A psychic girl fighting Jason.
They had lots of jump moments in Friday the
Yeah.
13th.
Yeah, they did. Like you mentioned earlier, the constable comes after that night. He gets the constable to come in. The constable is kind of like the doctor. None of this is supernatural. It's all got a logical explanation. But the constable, he makes a really good point, because what happens is the constable seems to think that there's somebody messing with them, like a local troublemaker. He also suggests that maybe, possibly Beverly could be psychic, but he's asking about Howard's neighbors, and Howard explains that they've already met Arthur and the artist guy that was a dick, and that they've met Arthur's housekeeper, Mrs. Drummond, and they tell him that they met her and she was on her bicycle, and he's like, wait a minute, Mrs. Drummond was on a bicycle? They're like, yeah, she was riding around on her bike. He goes, well, that's really weird because her house is way across town and she works at Arthur's house, but she goes home, after her shift. It would be too far for her to ride her bike from Arthur's house all the way back to her house. He's like, it's just really odd. Mrs. Drummond, like the way he's making out, Mrs. Drummond wouldn't be riding a bike.
Well, her
And then,
husband picks her up, right?
yeah, that's the other thing. He's like, yeah, she gets rides back and forth. So why would she be on a bike out riding? It doesn't make any sense. So that's not Mrs. Drummond.
Mm-hmm.
And so Howard, he's like, wait a minute. Like, okay, wait a minute. So then he goes to Arthur's house. And I think I texted you right after this scene. He goes to Arthur's house, knocks on the door, and a woman comes to the door. And he goes, hey, I'm here to see Mrs. Drummond. She goes, well, I am Mrs. Drummond. He's like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
She's like, yes, I am. No, you're not Mrs. Drummond. I want to see Mrs. Drummond, the older lady that rides around on a bicycle that I met, a few weeks ago. She's like, no, I'm the only woman here. There's no other woman. I don't know who you're talking about with riding a bike. I'm Mrs. Drummond, and I'm Arthur's caretaker. And he's like, this is just getting weird. So Arthur comes to the door, and Arthur's asking what's up. He explains what's happening. He describes what the woman looks like to Arthur. So Arthur goes and gets a photograph. He brings it over to Howard, and he goes, is this what she looks like? And Howard's like, yes, that's the same woman. He's like, this is crazy. She died 5 years ago.
Yeah.
She was the previous owner of this house when my mom was alive. She was the previous owner, and she's been dead for 5 years. He's like, so you really are seeing a ghost? Like that old lady on a bicycle is that lady's ghost? And Howard's like, okay, that's he's so far out of it. He's like, okay, that's a ghost. Well, whatever. Who is she? And he's wondering, like, if she isn't Mrs. Drummond and she's riding around on a bike, who is she? He doesn't know if she's really this ghost that
Yeah.
Arthur's saying she is. But so now he wants to figure out like who that lady was on the bike, and if she has something to do with the hauntings that's going on. Like maybe she's the one dressing up like a man and just showing up random times of the night. So so Howard gets really excited that maybe this is a lead into what's really happening. And at the same time, Arthur gets ecstatic because now he's going to contact the National Ghost Institute or
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
say there's a real ghost on his property or whatever or in town. But that was I texted you right after that. I was like, oh my god, Mrs. Drummond doesn't ride a bike or something like that. I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah. It was. I did not see it coming.
Yeah,
It's.
that was one of those moments.
I was. Yeah. I mean, knowing the how it ends and hearing you retell it, I'm like, there's some holes here.
Yeah, there is, and we'll talk about that because there's some things I don't really understand.
Yeah, like it. I guess we'll get to it.
Yeah,
When we get
that doesn't make any sense to me that part, um, but I don't know. A few nights later, Angela has another nightmare. This is the part where you were talking about, where she sees this man in her dream sitting at a desk, writing a letter by candlelight. The desk happens to be the same one that's sitting downstairs in the den. So they both, in the middle of the night, go downstairs, check out the desk, and Howard finds a piece of paper like wedged behind one of the drawers, and it's a letter addressed to a woman named Emmeline. And in the letter, the soldier says that Emmeline betrayed him by marrying a Yank, an American. He says that Emmeline's sister wouldn't tell him where she's at, but her sister is dead now. And he says in the letter, if it takes him a lifetime, he's going to find Emmeline. And he signs it as Theron Hastings. And so
Mhm.
if you recall, Theron is the guy that was killed with Nancy in the car accident. So Howard asked what Angela's mother's name was, and she says it was Emmeline.
It's Emmeline. Big surprise there.
Yeah. So the question is her mother the target of a deranged stalker?
Right, because
And
if you remember the backstory, her backstory is she's English,
yes,
and the dad died, and the mother ran off to the States.
yes, yeah,
So it looks like it's all wrapping around.
it does.
Maybe she lived in this cottage.
Yes, exactly. And that's kind of where we're headed in as you get into the book's finale. Howard's convinced that there's danger at Heather Cottage. He's convinced that he has to leave, so he's trying to convince Angela to leave. He notifies the constable, says, "Hey, this is stuff that's happening. I think that there's somebody, bothering us." But he goes to a mechanic in town, and he gets a block and tackle, and this was so crazy. He buys a seatbelt.
Great,
Like,
this is
can you
great.
imagine just going to the hardware store and say, "Hey, I just need to pick up a seatbelt"?
Yeah, I just need a
Like,
seatbelt.
I just need a seatbelt. But that was a thing, I guess, back then. So you could just buy a seatbelt.
Well, yeah, because they didn't come with the cars, right?
Yeah,
You had
yeah,
to
they did.
install your own
Yeah, install your own seatbelt.
because it was
So
mandatory.
yeah, so he buys a seatbelt and he gets a block and tackle, and he creates this little trap near the edge of the cliff where the stairs go down to the ocean. He sets up this trap. It's kind of like a noose. It'll grab someone, I think, by the foot, like one of those traps.
I would say just picture Bugs Bunny or something.
Yeah, and it would pick them up and swing them, like it
Yeah.
swings them out. So I think it grabs them by the foot, gangs them
Uh-huh.
up, and then swings them. We're talking like Viet Cong shit here. Like this is total Rambo Viet Cong stuff.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So he's making this trap and he sets it up. And the next day, Howard gets a blessing from his doctor that he can travel back to New York. He can go back to a normal routine life. He's so happy. He goes to Angela. He's like, "We're free. We're going back to
Yeah,
New York." And she's like,
yeah,
"Ain't having it.
yeah.
Ain't happening. We're
Yeah,
staying
please
right
don't make
here.
me leave. Yeah.
Yeah, we're staying. We're staying right here." Her stuff is getting worse. She's starting to sleepwalk almost every night. She's starting to go towards the cliff stairs. He's worried about her out there because she could get caught in the trap that he set out there. He doesn't want her out just prancing around all night, possibly getting caught in the trap. She tells Howard that she's seeing the man out there, that he doesn't have a face, which is really weird. Um, I kept thinking of Michael Myers, didn't have a face, like it's just a shape.
Yeah.
Um, and he's again tells her, "Hey, we're going to go to New York. We're going to leave right now. It's like 3 in the
Mhm.
morning." And she's like, "No, we're not going to do that." And they don't. And
Well, she goes back into her comatose state. She's like, I think I have cancer.
yes, yeah, she goes back to her former state of being paranoid, depressed, and that's when Howard calls Dr. Armstrong in, and Armstrong agrees to come. He's going to stay at the house, and he's going to spend a few nights there and try to get her out of this depressive state. Um, and Howard tells Armstrong all about the man, the desk dream, the angry letter, all that stuff, and Armstrong basically just says it's all a hoax. Like it can be explained logically. Like
Yeah.
none of this is really happening to you, man. You're
Hmm.
crazy. Um, and he really does kind of suggest that he's crazy,
Yeah.
and he kind of starts siding with Angela, which I thought was kind of weird. He starts siding with her on a lot of the stuff, like saying
Yeah.
maybe you're the problem here.
Right.
And by the book's end, you're like, okay, now I see where we're going. I see
Yeah.
this now.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So going into the book's finale here, I'm losing my voice. So that the final night in the house, Armstrong awakens Howard in the middle of the night. This time it's somebody different. It's Armstrong waking up in the middle of the night, and he's screaming that Angela has gone sleepwalking, and he warns Howard that we can't wake her up because you can't wake up a sleepwalker. It's supposed to be dangerous, cause
Yeah.
seizures and stuff.
Yeah. Not
And
her walking to the edge of the cliff.
right,
That's not dangerous.
yeah,
Don't
this
wake up the
dude.
sleepwalker.
But yeah, you're not supposed to wake them up, and so they run after her instead, and so the two of them race outside. They spot Angela at the cliff's edge, and Howard sees right in behind her is the dark clothed man, and then it seems as though Angela has been tossed over the cliff. So Howard's like, the guy was real. He just killed Angela.
You
Oh my
bastard.
god! And he runs after him, and the stairs has like a little platform before it goes down, and he falls kind of like through the platform, and he's supposed to die is the idea, but he doesn't. He hangs on, pulls himself back up, and then as he's grabbing onto the man, he realizes that the man is really a bunch
He's
of
a,
wire.
it's a wireframe and a jacket.
Yes. Like a like it's just nothing. It's just a metal frame. And then from behind, he can hear that his trap has just went off and that it's caught two people. And he can hear go ahead.
No, they talk. He hears talking first. He
Oh
hears
yeah,
Angela
okay.
go, "Is he down there?"
Yes, that's right. Yeah. And and then he hears the trap go off. But what's really weird about it is it was like on an old like gnarled tree. So when the
Yeah.
trap goes up, it starts swinging two people instead of
Hmm.
one. And because of that, they start fighting, I guess, to in the trap, and then the tree breaks, and then they're gone. They
Down the cliff.
gone.
They
They
down.
gone.
They're in the ocean, tied
And
together.
they're dead. And so the end of the book is like one of those old crime noir thrillers where the guy's writing at the end like, I'm in the death house now because of what's happened. All the stuff
Hmm.
has now led to me being put to death.
Hmm.
And so what happened is Howard has been sentenced to prison for killing his wife and her lover,
Hmm.
Armstrong. And that's the secret is Armstrong was kind of behind it with because Angela fell in love with him, and Armstrong had devised a way to make it seem like Howard was going insane, drive Howard insane.
Hmm.
He would end up dying or being put away, and then
Yeah,
they
with
could
his
live.
heart attack.
Yep,
Yeah,
with his heart attack. They were trying to create him another heart attack that would kill him, and then the two of them could live happily ever after.
I got to. I got to say, I was devastated that that was the ending. I. It's a gothic romance, right? I
Yeah.
was like, I loved how much he loved her. It was very
Yes.
romantic. I wanted them to make it out and to find out that the whole plot was just her lying to him the whole time, stabbing him in the back.
Yep.
Oh, that was brutal. The guy didn't deserve it.
He didn't. He treated her like a queen.
You were right.
And
You were right. Why is he with this girl, man?
why? Why would he do that to himself? But yeah, he's ruined everyone's life by basically loving her. Yeah, it just and I mean, what else does she, I mean, he's obviously a very successful architect. He's loaded. What else does she want in life? He loves her. He's given her this great stuff. Yet she's that's my dog in the background. I was like, what is that whip? It's her tail. But what else does she really want? But she wants Armstrong. She wants the doctor, and he conveniently lives an hour away in a flat. So she was still able to go see him on the train. I'm sure that they talked to her because that scene is left out of the book. Her going to visit him.
Yeah,
So
when she would go to town, she was going there. And I
yeah,
think he would come up to her too.
I think so.
Oh, he
So
was doing
they
all the stuff at night, obviously.
Yeah, and what they explained was the laughter was a tape recorder that they were playing into the wall there, so he could hear it.
And
Um,
she had the buzzer. She's laying in bed pretending to sleep, pushing this buzzer, driving him
yeah,
crazy. I was so mad at the end of it.
I was too. It was really cruel, and the accident was a recording as well. The sounds of the car, the whole thing was a ruse. The desk and the note all made up. Like it was
Yeah,
all just made up to make it seem like there was a guy named Theron that was maybe harassing everyone. They
yeah,
made up every single little detail in the book. They made up, but I think what you were referring to earlier that was a hole was why did the old woman who they paid to show up and pretend like she
hmm
was just some old woman that didn't exist? Uh, why did she look like Arthur's picture?
right. Where did they get the picture of the lady who used to own the house?
Why would they do that? That part doesn't. Unless Arthur is just so hell bent on seeing a ghost that he just goes, "Oh yeah, that's got to be." Um, well, no, that would work either. I don't know. I don't know
Like
how they.
it was psychologically planted into his brain, and
Well,
he
that's
just made the connection himself.
the other thing too is the psychic part of it. Is Beverly really psychic?
No,
No.
no, she's not psychic. I mean, the doctor did test Eric. Did you miss that part?
I don't understand how she would have known that there was going to be a crash in the curve.
Well, they say I think the cop explains it, and he's like, that's the most dangerous curve in England.
Right.
Like, of
Okay.
course, someone's gonna crash there someday.
Okay. Yeah, well there was that scene and then there was the one with the stroller that she apparently predicted, but it could have just been, hey, somebody's going to cross the street and get ran over one day. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
That may
I
have been
think
just it.
the constable explains it is that like it's people making the connections after it happens. Like
Yeah,
no one ever it never stops anything. It never does anything. People are
right.
like oh wasn't she scared that day?
Yeah.
And 3 days later, someone gets hit by a car. Like big deal.
She could have just been suffering some kind of mental condition, which may be why she ran out of the house originally and then forgot that she'd even did that.
Mm.
That could just be part of it. Um, I don't know of any really other holes really.
I mean, it all kind of went together in a perfect storm. How did they know that their local town doctor was going to be a ghost guy? You know,
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
were they just banking on the British loving the ghosts?
Yeah, I
Like,
guess.
we'll just pick some rural place, and they're going to be all about ghosts, and then they do.
Yeah. I The thing I was wondering at the end was, is Howard really being sentenced to prison, or was he have enough evidence to suggest that they were just tormenting him?
I think that he was going to trial. I think that they
Okay.
arrested him for murder, but he
Yeah.
says that his lawyer has all the
All this.
evidence that says because
They
they
were.
found the tape recorder and the
Yeah.
microphone and all that.
Yeah. And they, yeah, so he can make the evidence that they were having an affair and they just wanted him out. Yeah. So yeah. So what was your at the end of the day? Is this a Gothic book, or
Yes,
is it? It is. Okay.
I think it is. I think it is. I think you got the remote location. You got the pseudo supernatural. You do have two. You got two main characters instead of the one, which is the usual Gothic trope.
Yeah.
So that's a little different. And
I think you had read a, I think you read a Gothic and reviewed it recently. It had a male main character.
yeah, the Castle Goric.
Yeah, that one. And this one, but mostly the main character is Howard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's got two lead characters. It's got the seaside house, and it's got the one light.
It does. Yeah. It even has the one light in the story, not just on the cover.
Right.
I guess the question is, if it's not Gothic, what is it?
Well, it could just be a suspenseful mystery. In fact, I think I've got it here. This book, which was written, I think was written in 1925. It was packaged by Dell, just like yours, as a Gothic. I don't know if you can see that without the glare. Yeah,
All
there
right,
it
let me
is.
make it bigger. Hold on. There we
Yeah.
go.
The Red Lamp is a 1925 novel. It's a murder suspense mystery. It was packaged as a Gothic here in 1972. I think the original title of it was called The Mystery Lamp, but they changed it and made it look supernatural. But
Yeah.
kind of similar. There's a big house that they go and rent, and there ends up being a a mystery regarding this lover, and then there's this red lamp that's harassing them in the middle of the night, and it just keeps popping on, and they can see it, and they're like, why does it keep happening? And it kind of drives them crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a murder. At the end there's a murder, and I think there may be more than one murder, but it started out as just a murder mystery. I mean, that's all it is. But then when you look at it like this, you're like, okay, wait a minute, it could be a Gothic. Like I can totally see why the publisher made it a Gothic. I
Yeah.
think I think I I'm not calling it a Gothic, I don't think, because I'm thinking of it in its original incarnation of being just a murder mystery. But even though the murder takes place at the very end, there's not really much of a mystery with the murder, but it's just the stuff that's leading up to it. And
Yeah.
there's a lot, and really, it's written for me. It's almost written like a female author wrote it, because so many female authors, like Edna Sherry, uh, gosh, I can't even think of names right now, but the stuff that Starkhouse Press puts out almost monthly from a female writer has that same kind of feel to it. It's written kind of like this. There's things that happen mysteriously in the house or on the property, and it leads to questions about motivations for murder or suspicions about who's got jealousy for somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
But you could easily say, okay, well that's a Gothic because it has a mysterious atmosphere to the house. The house seems cavernous. There seems like there's secrets within the house.
Mm-hmm.
There's always footsteps in the middle of the night, like there's somebody off to kill someone or harass somebody. So there's different ways you can think of it, but it's really just, in my opinion, it's just a mystery, really a mystery thriller kind of thing.
Well, what I was thinking of I showed some of those Mary Roberts Reinhardts in a book haul, and you said that it was actually a classic mystery that they repackaged. I
Yeah,
was thinking about it. I was like, maybe that what those books are like proto Gothic, like let's say like the Ramones are the first punk band, right? So
yeah,
what of the Stooges? So the Stooges were the punk before it was punk. So maybe
yeah.
the Mary Roberts Reinhardt is the Gothics before they were officially called, before they officially got the template.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, writers like that. And there's another one, Charlotte Armstrong. I know you've probably heard that name, or you might even have a Charlotte Armstrong. But same
Yeah.
thing. She was
Yes.
writing around the same time. I think this was actually one of her later ones, but she was writing just mysteries, and
I almost
they end up just making it, as a Gothic. and this one is probably not the same, but a lot of them, they changed the name of the title to make it sound like a Gothic. But it's really like this one says, Charlotte Armstrong, the Queen of Suspense.
Mm-hmm.
So like you said, it could be the start, the building foundations of Gothic.
I was gonna say I almost picked that book when you asked me which one because we both had it, and I was looking up the reviews, and they were not favorable, and they said that it really wasn't Gothic at all.
Right. And there's a lot of those books like that
Mm-hmm.
that you read and you're like, okay, well, that's not Gothic. It's just got a cover to make it look like
Mm-hmm.
that. But what I find interesting about Gothic sometimes is they do leave the idea of the supernatural possibly being there. Like at the end of the book, the main character will say, "Yeah, but what about that part of it? Or what about this? How did that happen?" And then you're always kind of like, there's possibly a supernatural aspect to it. Like,
Yeah.
and they kind of leave it open for that. And I like that part of it where it is open ended at the end with the possibility of something supernatural happening.
Mm-hmm.
I think those are really good. But
I love them. I've only read one that I was like, this is terrible, and you read it also, and it was because you did a review on the blog. The hog fight, the fog hides the fury. Do you remember that one?
yeah.
God, that was so boring, and they just built up like her backstory was like most of the book before it got to
Oh,
anything creepy. Remember?
yeah.
You're like, I read so many books. What are you talking about? I don't remember.
I remember that. This one here is, again, this was 1966, and it really isn't a Gothic, but they make it out to look like it is. The Secret of Canfield House
Mm-hmm.
by Florence Hurd. Amazing book. It's so good. Like, this book is amazing, and it's really just a suspense thriller. Um, she ends up, again, I think she ends up renting or moving into a mansion to take care of it while some relative is out of town, and a guy in town is kind of like stalking her,
Mm-hmm.
and he just won't go away, and he ends up kind of invading the house. So it's almost kind of like a home invasion thing to it. I reviewed it on the blog, and this is probably, even though it's not a Gothic, I still have it in my Gothic section just because it looks like one. I mean, it
Yeah,
really looks like
looks like
one.
it.
But if you get a chance to read it, Secret of Canfield House by Florence Hurd, a really good book. And I will add, I think it's only the second Gothic I've ever read where the main character, the vulnerable female, gets a firearm at the end.
Oh yeah.
I was like, okay, that's pretty cool.
And then that one was, who was the author of that one?
Her name is Florence Hurd, Hurd.
So it
Yeah,
was written. That's even cooler. So it was written by a woman, and then she ends up with the gun.
yeah, she has a gun at the end.
This ain't happening.
Yeah, this isn't happening. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the one that has the gun. There's two Gothics I read. I just read one recently, and she had a gun,
Yeah.
which is totally unusual for Gothic.
I think anytime that they're fighting back, I think is cool and not usual.
The other thing that I like about Gothics is if they are set in the 20th century, or middle 20th century. I'm not crazy about the 1700s and 1800s Gothics because I don't like the stagecoaches and the dinner parties that they have to go through and all the musical routines that they have to go through. I don't like any of that stuff. I just want the story. Yeah, I like them to be set in the time that they write them. So if it's the 60s, 70s, whatever, I want it to be that. I don't want to read 1700s and 1800s. Gothics that are set in that time period is what I should say. I don't want them
Yeah.
to. And there's a lot of them. And I probably got some here that are set in that time period, and it just doesn't speak to me as much as the other ones.
No, it doesn't sound as appealing.
No, it's not.
I think if you're gonna go that far back, then it should just be a Gothic horror.
And I was going to ask you, do you think that this book squeaks by as a soft horror novel? Is it a minor horror novel?
Oh man, this is like This is
We're splitting hairs.
this is dangerous ground here because I've already been rolling around in my head like wanting to talk about the difference between horror and thriller.
Yeah.
So to me, without going into the specifics of that, I think that this is more thriller. I wouldn't call this a horror at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I struggle with that too, horror and thriller, and I struggle with the same thing. Like, what do I call this? And I don't know if there's a definitive answer.
No, and it wouldn't. Yeah, it wouldn't matter. You just
Right.
whatever works for you.
Yeah.
Call it that. Arguing over whether a story is this or that is not really that important, but it is fun to talk about. That's for sure.
Yes. Yeah, it is. So, anything else you want to say about this book before we look at some book covers real fast?
I other than just saying that it was awesome. I loved it, and even though like I hated the ending, I hated her for what she did to him. It was great. I was all in the whole time. I was like, I love this. It's got the atmosphere. It's just the mystery of what's really happening, what's really going on. Is it the conspiracy? Is it the ghost? You're pulled along just like he is, back and forth. You're like, oh no, it's not the ghost. Somebody's messing with them. Somebody that hates Americans. Typical British.
Right. Well, so two thumbs up from you.
Yes, 2 thumbs up.
Awesome. Yeah, I would say same thing for me too. You said the magical words there. The book made you feel something, and I think that's the measuring stick for me. Is did it make me feel anything? Some books just don't make you feel anything. You're just like, I read it, it was okay. You just toss it to the side and you move on to the next one.
Yeah,
that's almost disposable fiction to me. But if it makes you feel something, then I think the authors, did a good job with it. So you felt something, I felt something. Like you, I felt angry with with her and what she did, and it truly did have some creepy moments. It really did. I think if I was reading this in the winter, I think I would have felt a little bit more creeped out with it. But middle of summer, it's hot. I didn't feel as creepy.
I don't know. It was raining the whole time I was reading it. It was thunderstorms. It's
Nice.
thunderstorming right now, actually.
Oh wow. Okay.
Perfect.
And
I'd also like to point out that it's good, not like funny, trashy good. Because sometimes I always just say good, and I don't know if people know what I'm saying. Well, either or, but it's like it's good. This is like it's written a different, very well. It's not silly.
It's a different good than the Butcher Terror Truckers.
Exactly.
Not that kind of good. Yeah, that's what you're saying. Yeah, so I highly recommend it. To my knowledge, you're gonna have to buy this one as a used book because it's not in a reprint. There's no modern edition of it that I know of. So you have to hit the used bookstore for this one. So yeah, you want to show some book covers? Some
Absolutely.
Gothics real fast. Now that you went and grabbed them.
Yeah. So you want to do one and then the other?
Since you're gonna enlarge it, maybe you should do them all together.
Okay.
So you don't have to go back and forth.
You want me to go first or you?
Yeah, I want to see yours. Show me yours first.
Okay. Let's get the...
And you got them all in bags. You got the bagged goods.
Only one is not in a bag because I just got it.
You're like, these are my precious.
These are my precious. Let me make sure I got the lighting here.
Oh, the jeweled dagger. Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, I can see it right there perfectly.
Okay, so I haven't read this one, but I did. I just showed it in the recent haul, so it's probably not a good choice to grab. But I love that it takes place in Istanbul.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's very different. I have one that's also takes place in India. Man, I should have grabbed that one.
Ah, wow.
Maybe I'll pause it and I'll go grab it. But yeah, I don't know. It just looked. What is that? Just looks foreign. It looks exotic adventure Gothic.
Yeah, see, it could almost come across as sword and sorcery in a way if you just had some muscles thrown in there. you got the jeweled dagger.
Yeah, or like a Talbot Mundy or something. This is the Talbot Mundy Gothic.
Right. Yeah.
And then I got, this is one I was hoping you had because I've been dying to read this. Decoy and Diamonds. Said
Ah,
Natalie Gates. So this is it's a gothic that takes place on a cruise ship.
really?
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna have to read that. Let me see if I got a scan of it while you're doing that.
Decoy and Diamonds.
The Koi and Diamonds.
Here's one that I just got not too long ago,
Ooh,
and I don't know anything about it.
Nick,
Portrait. Oh,
I've got Decoy and Diamonds as a scanned version, so I can read it.
awesome.
Do we need to do that one next?
Yeah, we're just gonna. That's it. Our channels are just taken over by
Oh,
Gothic Suspense.
you had me a cruise ship, man.
That's what when I found it, I was like, I can't believe I've never seen Gothic that takes place not in an old spooky house.
Yeah, yeah. All right, what you got?
All right, I don't know anything about this. Portrait of a man with red hair, Hugh
Mm,
Walpole.
that's interesting. You got a male figure on the cover.
Yeah, and it's got the male author with his real name up there.
Yep.
So it's probably, my guess would be similar to this.
Could be.
Trapped in an old inn by a madman, Hester must escape or become his human sacrifice.
Ooh, okay, cool.
So maybe there's some occult stuff there. Maybe he worships the devil. I hope so.
Maybe.
This one, yeah, I don't know. Out of Darkness, another one I haven't read yet. Marjorie Davenport.
Yeah, yeah. I can't remember who she is. I think that's a pseudonym. I think.
I liked, yeah, I got this one. Well, I mean, I buy all of them when I see them, but I especially like that it's definitely gothic, but she's not in a flowing dress running from a building or anything.
Right. Yeah. It's almost got a horror cover.
Yeah. From the black abyss of the past, evil rose up to claim her. So that sounds like a horror plug right there.
It does.
And then we got yeah, so here's the Charlotte Armstrong you were talking about. And this is really cool because you just don't see this often, but so Dreamwalker, Charlotte Armstrong, and it's a gothic double.
Ah, yeah. I haven't seen that before.
Mark of the Hand.
An Ace Gothic double.
Yeah.
Wonder how many of those they did. That's the
I don't
first
know.
one I've ever seen like that, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, that is cool.
Yeah.
Now here's one that I have read. Old House of Fear, Russell Kirk. So this is more on the borderline of gothic horror.
Okay.
So it's like it's got it's like a crime book too. I don't know. It's like a borderline. It's a borderline genre book.
Yeah.
But it's spooky. And it even says the word gothic on the cover, so you know it's legit.
All right.
They
Yeah.
So this one is my wife's. I don't remember if she read it or not, but this is definitely like the horror gothic, like but the 70s version. So it's kind of like a gothic suspense, a
Almost.
modern novel of gothic horror. Right there on the cover, Eric.
Yeah, I was gonna say, there was a horror movie called The Mark of Satan. I think it was. That's not a novelization though.
No, maybe they based it off of this book.
Mark of Satan is about the Inquisition, the movie. So don't know
No,
if that's okay.
no, that's it. And here is another one that I've read, Howling in the Woods by Velda Johnston. This is the first one I ever read, and then I became in love with it after this.
Oh, nice. How's
And
that?
it's awesome. She inherits the old house by the relative she's never met,
Yeah.
and she goes there and meets a bunch of strange people, and there's strange noises out in the woods. She investigates. Who can she trust? And what's cool about this one is they made it into a TV movie starring what's her name? I Dream of Jeannie.
Barbara Eden.
Right. So it has Barbara Eden in it, and then in this book, the woman has an ex-husband that she's like splitting from, and he eventually shows up in the book, and in the movie, it's it's her husband from I Dream of Jeannie.
What?
It's so weird. It's like
La- Larry
they had the
Hagman?
same yeah, they had the same actors be in the movie, and they're married in the movie.
What a weird casting choice.
Yeah, and the movie was a little different. I watched it after I read it. The book is definitely better. And here's a John Messman. I love
Yep.
this. This is my favorite Gothic I've ever read. The Haunting of Drum Row.
I had that one. I've never read it.
It's awesome. It's she's in Ireland. She inherits a castle. No, I don't remember what she inherits, but it's something like that. I think actually she's just going to visit like her Meemaw or something, and Meemaw's missing, and
Ah,
there she is
that
in
one.
Ireland.
It's those books have all been reprinted by Cutting Edge Books, all the John Messman Gothics.
Oh,
So you can get
really?
yes, you can get those in digital or brand new physical paperbacks.
Oh, that's awesome. They're awesome. I've loved every Claudette and Nicole. And then since you mentioned it, the Castle of Garrick here,
Yep.
Nicholas Montserrat that I did a review of. And this was sort of in the same ilk of the Shadow Guest, where it was pretty literary and written from the male perspective. So that
Interesting.
was that was very different, and it was definitely more of a thriller. But it says famous romantic Gothic right there on the cover.
Yeah, I remember you reviewing that one this year recently, I think.
So it must be real.
Yeah, must be.
Those are my 10. I guess I won't grab the Indian one. I'll cut it out
Yeah, you
unless you
can
really
grab
want
it.
to see it.
Yeah, let's see it.
Okay, hold on. All right, I grabbed two. We'll do the other one really fast, but
Yeah.
okay. So here's the India one, the Song of India.
Oh, okay. A
So she's
zebra.
running. Look, she's running from the temple, whatever you call it.
Wow, that's wild.
There's one light on.
An
This one has
illustrated picture.
yeah. This I was gonna say it's the zebra illustrated picture Gothic.
Hmm,
Moselle Richardson.
that's interesting.
Yeah. And then I just real fast I have the Andre Norton Gothic. Have you ever read the Andre
No,
Norton?
I had that book at one point. Yeah,
If I was gonna start with Andre Norton, that's where I'm starting.
yeah. I've tried to read him in the past, but or her, I should say, but I
Or,
haven't had
yeah.
any luck. I haven't had any luck with her.
The Beastmaster. She wrote Beastmaster. They made it into a movie.
Oh, I didn't know that was based on a book. I had no idea. Sort of loosely.
Very, very.
Wow. I just I randomly grabbed some off the shelf. I don't even know what I grabbed, so we'll look at them together. I have no
All
idea.
right. Let's see.
So I got Die Jessica Die, 1972. This is Michael Avalone.
Ooh.
So, and that's do you like the red, blue, green, or yellow pages? What's your favorite?
I get the blue. Well, the blue's
Yeah,
my favorite color. So the
yeah.
bluish green. I think that's more Gothic than the others.
For some reason, this is a Beagle Gothic. You ever heard of them? Beagle.
Yeah.
Beagle Gothic. And I don't know who wrote it, but it reminded me of Marsha Brady for some reason. I don't know why.
Like if Marsha Brady wrote a book.
No, like her on the cover. Like I don't know
Oh,
why.
okay.
I just think of Marsha Brady like she's on vacation or something and she's in trouble.
A,
Um,
a very Brady Gothic.
a very Brady Gothic. What's that? The Presence. And the real author is Richard Hubbard. So 1972. That's the queen size Gothic, so you get almost like two books in one.
Yeah.
Those are big ones. I think I've reviewed this one. Of course, Dorothy Daniels was Norman Daniels' wife. 1971. This was pretty good from what I remember. Here's probably my favorite Gothic is this one. Circle of Secrets, John Messman, 1972. I reviewed this on the blog. It's a really, really good book. It's got a great cover too. Really like that one. This one's another John Messman, writing as Claude Nicole instead of Claudette. Cliffs of Death, 1968. Again, this is John Messman. Another John Messman here, writing as Claudette Nicole. House at Hawk's End. It's got a cool cover. Yellow. This is Fawcett. Yeah, Fawcett gold medal. I don't know how many I did. I just grabbed a handful.
It's cool. Good. I love it.
This is so this is one that they probably repackaged. This is Mystery on the Moors, which was released in 1967, but they changed the name to this Gothic-sounding Mystery on the Moors and published it a year later. So probably not originally designed as a Gothic, probably more like a historical novel, but they just like, hey, let's just try to get something out of this. I always like these easy eye ones because they're large print.
Yeah.
Literally easy on the eyes. Pretty thick. But Winter Evil, that's a real author, Sharon Wagner. I think she only wrote like maybe 2 books. These Mary Roberts Reinhardt books, I have all these as Gothics. Mm-hmm. This one is Haunted Lady. I think this is a few stories in here, I think, if I'm not mistaken. This is 1942 originally, but published as a Gothic in 71. And then this is another big one. I don't know why I grabbed the big ones. House of Four Windows. This is a real author, I think, Delphine Lyons. Again, another easy-eyed large print. And last one. I don't know why I grabbed the big ones, Nick. I don't know why. There's that one, The Glass Painting. This was Victor Banis. So Victor Banis wrote this. This is Jan Alexander. You see the green, big, thick book. Yeah, but it looks like she's like, that's like a stove is what it looks like. It always freaked me out. It looks like it's a stove. Like she's.
It's hard to see. I can just see her and she's walking away from something.
Yeah, she's walking away from this old stove, like they're burning a body or something in there.
Oh, like the ones a stove that would heat the house.
Maybe. It says, beneath the ruins of the old French mansion, restlessly cruel forces wait to claim a young American girl. So there you go.
That's awesome.
Fun stuff.
It is. It's amazing. That's good. That's good. That's good.
Yeah. So maybe maybe sometime next month we can read the other Gothic after Pulp Fest and all the craziness ends.
Yeah. That would be so much fun. We can just one Gothic a month. I'm good with that.
Yeah,
2-hour-long discussions about Gothics once a month.
I'm sure it'll be a huge sensation. Listeners will be anxiously anticipating the next episode. Oh well.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, who cares? But anyway, this was fun. This was good.
Yeah. Thanks for doing this. That was I'm glad you suggested it, and hopefully I feel like maybe we the Guide to Gothics, we're just doing it naturally. So maybe the Guide to Gothics is a series. We just keep talking. We just keep talking.
Yeah, we get. Yeah, through 12 books a year, I mean, we should be able to crack the code, right?
Nick and Eric figure out the Gothics.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Cool. Well, all right. Well, let's sign off here. Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
You're still listening?
Later.
All right. Bye.